All right, everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Toon podcast. We are the Southern Hemisphere's biggest and best and only dedicated podcast to all things Newcastle United. Today, I'm joined by Keegan down in Victoria. Today, we are going to be previewing the massive clash at the Emirates Stadium where Newcastle look to leapfrog Arsenal, take second place in the table and secure our place in the Champions League next season. How are you doing, Keegan? Sounds like you've had a busy few days after we were talking before, mate.
Yeah, mate. We're hanging in by a thread. So yeah, not great. And it was a typical winter's day here in Victoria today. It was bloody freezing. So can't complain. It's probably the first bad day we've had this year. So come the middle of May to say that things can't be too bad.
Well, I was at a barbecue today. It was 28 degrees, 70% humidity, few beers. You know, it was a perfect winter's day, if you want to call it here. I'm actually jealous of yours because I'm missing the cold, to be honest. But I'll do you a swap if you want.
Yeah, I'd love that, mate. Absolutely love that.
But we'll dive straight in. And we have, as mentioned before, a huge game at the Emirates. The game itself is a 1:30 Monday morning kickoff for us here in Australia. It is a 4:30 afternoon kickoff back home in the UK for everybody who's going to be either watching live or traveling down to the stadium itself. The importance of this game, Keegan, it hinders on quite a few big things. Now, the big thing obviously being Champions League. Second spot would obviously be your bonus. But how much would you like to take second spot from that whinging muppet that is Mikel Arteta?
It might be a bit controversial. I actually don't care.
Right, okay.
As long as we finish second, third, fourth, fifth, doesn't matter. The prize is the same. So all we need to do is make sure we're in that top five come the full-time whistle at the Everton game next weekend. So I think if my maths are correct, all we need is 3 points. So we need to win one of our last two games to get there. So it's good. It's good to have things like this in your own hands and you're not relying on other results and stuff like that.
Absolutely. We beat Arsenal 3 times this season. We beat them in the league earlier on when Alexander Isak scored that amazing header from the cracking cross from Gordon. I don't know if you seen the clips of Shearer dancing around the match of the day behind the scenes studios when that goal went in.
I reckon he said when it got
the 90s.
Yeah, when it got played out to Gordon, he was just like, whip it. And he just put it straight in and that was it. So, yeah, something like that would be really good again.
Be absolutely superb. And then obviously we have the double header in the Carabao Cup semi-final. Won both games 2-0. And Big Dog, Gordon and Murphy with the goals spread across the 2 games on that one there. Now, we have the chance to do the league double over Arsenal for the first time since the 94-95 season. This season tends to be the season that we are breaking records. What do you reckon the chances are of us actually coming away from this game with 3 points?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you never feel good about going there. We've traditionally really struggled there as well, even sort of before this season. I know we had that real kind of backs against the wall draw, but apart from that, we haven't been great there. Our record's not very good, but like you said, we've ticked a lot of things off this year in terms of doubles and finals and trophies and everything like that. So you'd be a fool to write them off.
We would, yeah. I think on form, both teams are, I'm not going to say patchy because Arsenal, they will get Champions League. I do think they will get it, although there is a scenario where they do miss out. And to be honest, I think that would actually be hilarious if they did. The fact of being in second for pretty much the entire part of the season. But I can't see that happening. I do think we will get it. It's just a case of who will finish above who. Now, getting back to Mikel Arteta, Eddie seems to have his number lately, doesn't he?
It is. I think I remember that the Carabao Cup game where there was a few sort of tactics that we changed and we did change things up and things like that. And Byrne and Shah were pushing in the midfield when we're going man for man. And then the first leg at home, I think we ended up playing at 5-5 with no striker. So we have mixed things up, which sort of might catch him off guard. Like we did mix it up last weekend as well against Chelsea. I don't think we've got the cattle to do that anymore, especially with what Botman looks like. He's got a bit of an impact injury to the knee, so it's probably going to rule him out. I'm not sure if Lascelles he's probably a little bit more behind Botman in terms of not that Botman was advanced or anything, but Lascelles is probably a little bit more sort of behind him in terms of fitness and being able to see our games and stuff like that. So with Trippier being ruled out already, I think it's just going to be your standard 4-3-3. I'm tipping Kraft will probably come in and play right back, Livramento stay on the left, and then, I'm not sure. I didn't see much about Willock in the tweets and stuff from the press. I didn't watch the press conference this morning. I was too busy cleaning and mopping and things like that. So, you'd think it'd probably have to be Miley starting. I don't think Gordon or Murphy will do that. I think that the big ones, we're probably back to the Gordon and Barnes discussion again. Like, I know they both started on the weekend with Murphy seemingly like in a wing-back role, but he wasn't great last week, Anthony Gordon, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that selection. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, now he's had a few minutes in the legs. I can't remember how long he had against Chelsea. It was maybe around about the hour, something like that, maybe. He had to lay off with injury and the suspension.
Yeah, I don't think he was. I don't think he come off because of his fitness. I just come off because he was playing really poorly, and he seemed to spend more time on the floor than what he did actually upright. As soon as he kind of got within contact with someone, he just seemed to go to ground all the time, which is probably infuriating when you're trying to sort of control the game and things like that, especially with the extra player. And the fact that he goes to ground as much as he was, it wasn't great. It was a really poor look. It was sort of back to his Everton ways, really, like just looking for free kicks all the time instead of using his strengths, what he's good at, and getting forward and driving forward and pressing and things like that. He seemed to go away from it a little bit.
Do you reckon he's one of those players that have built up a reputation now
for going to ground really easy?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And like, there's a time to do it. Where, you might need a free kick and just release the pressure valve a little bit and things like that. Bruno's really, really good at that in the middle of the park just to do that. But sometimes he does it in attacking positions as well where, like if you're not going to get it, you've been out-muscled, out-positioned, whatever it is, your focus needs to sort of snap to defending again rather than throwing yourself to the ground with minimal contact or shoulder-to-shoulder contact to try and get a free kick or a penalty or whatever it is. Like, I think you're right. I think the refs are starting to do it. But, it's not just him. I've seen people on Twitter do this as well, and they're 100% right. There seems to be an epidemic these days in the Premier League where people are already going down when a player comes up from behind them, like anticipating contact, and the referee pays free kicks all the time. It's infuriating, and I think the way to stop doing it is to start not paying free kicks and encourage players to keep their feet and stuff like that. So, he's not alone, but we sort of aren't concerned about what we do. And, he's just got to get it out of his game and go back to being the player he was.
So put yourself in Eddie Howe's mindset. By the sounds of you're starting Bonds over Gordon on the left?
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. Look, I don't think you can argue Anthony Gordon's a better player than Harvey Barnes is, but at the moment he's off his tucker. And
he is.
Maybe if we can hang in there, like he could be that impact sub that we need. And maybe looking forward to the week after, like it could be a huge game, win against your old team and get Champions League and probably cap off the greatest season in the club's history. So if he finds himself out of the team tomorrow, he's honestly got no one to blame but himself again. Just through his performances and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I literally agree with that 100%. Now, in the midfield, you mentioned Miley on that one there. If Willock is fit, is there any chance he starts against his former side?
I think so, because I think his legs are valuable and the way he's probably a little bit different to Bruno and Sandro with the way he can sort of carry the ball and run with the ball and things like that. And Miley, like, don't get me wrong, he's a good player and he's going to be a very good player in the future and stuff like that. But he's a lot similar to what Bruno and Tonali are than what Joe Willock is. And given we don't really have that enforcer with Joel Litton not not playing, and obviously we don't have another midfielder like him. Not that there's another one probably in the league or the world like him. So
Yeah.
I just think we need some different looks in there, and I think Willock gives us that different look. Having said that, I could mount an argument that his legs getting us up the pitch could be really effective again, sort of in the back, half an hour of the game and things like that. And Miley might help us keep possession, keep us compact, hard to play through, all that sort of stuff. And then if need be later on in the game, and I know we've got a few injuries and stuff, but having Anthony Gordon and Joe Willett come off the bench is pretty good.
Yeah, there's definitely some options there. Now, one player we've not even discussed for the midfield role, and he's been put on the pecking order a bit now. What's your thoughts on maybe even Sean Longstaff coming in, using that bit of experience, his bit of defensive know-how, and Bruno pushing a bit forward, and him sitting alongside Tonali?
Yeah, no, I think Sean's days are probably numbered here at the moment. I think if Willock doesn't play, same thing. I think there's a role for him. They could have probably pulled the trigger on it. Oh, no, they probably couldn't have pulled the trigger on it earlier last week because we didn't probably score until we scored so late that we kind of needed our best players on the pitch for as long as we could to try and see it out. But, yeah, I think if there is the results determined either way by, 80 minutes or something like that, get him on, kind of protect everyone for next week, because the last thing we need is Sandro or Bruno probably getting injured before possibly the biggest game of the season, biggest league game of the season.
God, it's going to be absolutely massive. We're record down there in the league. It isn't great. I still remember, I think the last time we won in the league down there was when Andy Carroll got the winner. I can't remember what season it would have been now, but just a long ball pumped up and Andy Carroll.
That was a massive header too. I remember that. Yeah.
I think it was Andy Carroll with his braids maybe at the time, but that was a huge one.
Got right up.
Was it Chris Hughton who was the manager for that game? I think it was.
It might have been,
How long ago? That was a canny while ago. But yeah,
2011, 2012 season maybe?
Could very well be, actually. If you know in the comments, let me know down below. But yeah, chance to do the first league double over Arsenal for the first time in 30 years. It's definitely doable. Now, one thing we talked about in the Chelsea preview is Isak. Now, again, against Chelsea, he missed a few chances where I think earlier in the season he would have buried those. And we did talk about you'd much rather a 70% fit Isak play instead of Wilson and Asula. Is that still your thoughts going into this game?
Yeah, definitely. It's the same thing. Just kind of get him to a point and then, bring him on. Like if the results kind of in the balance, bring him on. And you've got 2 games to go. Like, you just got to get him through whatever he needs fixing up. Once the Everton game's done, get him sorted, whatever. Hopefully that might keep him away from Sweden so he can get himself a nice break in the off-season, get himself away, rest, recover, and come back kind of the player he was, 2 or 3 months ago. He's definitely just – he's not the guy we've seen, especially around Christmas and stuff. Like, he was what I thought he was the best. I thought he was the best striker in the world, and that's not being hyperbolic because think of the best strikers in the world. They weren't going great. Haaland wasn't going well. Mbappe was struggling with his move to Real Madrid and all that sort of stuff, and this guy was just scoring and all different goals, and he was just, like you said, unplayable. Like, he's not that guy at the moment. But if there's one team he loves playing against and he loves scoring against, it's Arsenal.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And I tell you what, I would love to see again if Gordon does get on the bench and score. He runs to the corner flag and does his Henry celebration again, like he did in the semi-final second leg, the first leg, sorry. But that would be pretty epic. There is very, very loose rumours going around social media that Isak has a hernia problem right now. I'd take that with the biggest grain of salt possible, but that would kind of explain his dip in form, his lack of mobility, that sort of thing. And if it is something he's got to get looked at in the summer, there are a few internationals, so hopefully he will miss those, come back fighting fresh for pre-season. Now, one player...
sorry, mate. I was going to say, I think whatever it is, I don't think it'd be a soft tissue. Like it wouldn't be a hamstring or a quad or a calf because they wouldn't risk him as long as they have. It's obviously a bit more like a joint, like you said, a hernia, could be a hip, knee, ankle, whatever it is. I don't think it'd be a soft tissue because the threat of it getting worse is a lot higher with a soft tissue. It's something that's probably just going to be like a pain tolerance thing, like how much can you actually handle and things like that. And I think they've definitely sort of tinkered the way they play with what they're asking him to do defensively because he's not as, quick and threatening to the bloke on the ball when they play out from the back, as like you said, same as what he was there. So, hey, look, if we can kind of not hide him, but manage him a bit better defensively and just let's make his high intensity efforts when we have the ball and, let's try and get him to 70 minutes and get him out of there again.
Is there even a call for us to go for, I want to say, an attack-minded 4-4-2 and have Wilson up there with him to give him a little bit of support?
It depends. You don't want to leave yourself one short. I can understand why you do it and things like that, but I think the way we got him last time was we really got on top of him in the midfield and really overrun him in the midfield. Like if you were going to play one short, then, you kind of run the risk of them getting on top and, once they get their tails up at home, they're really, really hard to stop. So you've kind of got to try and impose yourself on the game, get a foot in the game and don't let them dictate everything because we've seen when we're on the back foot, we're a shadow of the team we are when we attack.
Yeah, we absolutely are. And Arsenal, they are a very attack-minded squad. The last few times that we have played them, they were missing Bukayo Saka. He's now back. And how do you rate him in terms of some of the best players in the world?
Oh, he's good. I don't know if he's in the sort of best in the world bracket or anything like that. He's obviously one of the best wingers in the Premier League when he's fit and firing and stuff like that. But, yeah, I don't think he's probably not in the world conversation at the moment. He doesn't score enough. I think like Mo Salah's clearly the best winger in the Premier League, and I think it's probably daylight between the next one as well. Although I could argue a case that Jacob Murphy is probably the second best winger in the Premier League at the moment, and the stats would also suggest that he is. So,
correct.
Like you said, they've got threats. Odegaard's a great player as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, we know Declan Rice is really good, but Alexander Isak scares the shit out of their two defenders. And Bruno and Tonali aren't bad either. So I think I read Mikel Merino might be out for this game as well. So they actually go in. Yeah. They didn't have a striker anyway, but the fact that he's not playing, their makeshift striker's not playing as well, it helps. It helps.
Yeah, it absolutely does. But you're right about Mourinho. He got sent off in the Liverpool game. So his season is done, I believe. Yeah. I think he's out for the remainder. But Gabriel Jesus, he's out. And Gabriel, I can't pronounce his surname, Magalhaes. I don't know. That's just a random guess. And Tommy Yasu, they won't all be involved. But Declan Rice is trained again after he missed the Liverpool game, I think it was. And Kai Donkey Havertz. They are likely to play after having some type of injury. Havertz was supposed to be out for the remainder of the season. They thought it was an ACL injury, I think, but he's managed to come back before the season is out, obviously. In terms of how you see this game going, Arsenal, I think they're going to approach this game quite aggressively because they know they need to win this game. There's no way they will want to get beat 4 times by us this season. I think even a draw is probably a better result for us than it is for them in terms of how it would look on paper in their results throughout the season. Again, head-to-head, that is. But do you see us starting this game like a house on fire like we did against Chelsea, or sit back, absorb the pressure, and go for them on the break?
No, I think it'll probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think we'll be held a scouter from the start, but also I don't think we'll be kind of sitting back waiting to pinch one just because it depends. If Gordon starts, maybe we will because we'll have a bit of speed on the flanks. Harvey Barnes he's not slow, but he doesn't have the speed of Gordon and Murphy. So, yeah, I think the lineup might dictate a little bit how we play, but the instructions will definitely be don't let them get their tails up early, because if we do that, we'll be chasing us the whole game.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting, nail-biting 90 minutes, because the last thing we want to do is go into this game or go into the final game knowing we need to have an amazing performance, get a three-pointer in the bag, and get into Champions League that way. A loss isn't a huge deal breaker for us. Obviously, a draw is good, a win is epic, because then that seals everything for us. It's done and dusted then. But I'm just going to bring up the league table right here. Just get this up in a second. There we go. So, as you can see, we sit in third on 66 points. Arsenal are just above us on 68. They do have a far superior goal difference. They're on 33, we're on 23. But for the rest of the pack within and around that part, our goal difference is better than Chelsea's. It's way better than Villa, and it's way better than Forest. It's only Chelsea have got 20, and City has got one better than us on 24. I mentioned this a while ago, and I'm keep mentioning every game since. Goal difference could be the vital part that secures Champions League for us. There are one or two fixtures that will play this morning. So Chelsea beat Man United, obviously, and Villa beat Tottenham, obviously. Those teams are never going to do us a favour, considering how poorly they are, and they've got a Europa League final to look forward to. So they're going to be resting their key players for that one. But there is one game that plays just before us as we kick off, and that's Forest are away to West Ham. Now, what would be your ideal result in that fixture? Forest losing or Forest winning?
No, Forest losing. Yeah, the less congestion, the better.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, I hope every other team around us lose for the rest of the season, just because it's easier for us. But, yeah, the last thing you need is you don't want to be dragged in. And, yeah, I think it'd just be really upsetting if, we come all this way and end up with like a Conference League spot because we won the League Cup. So, like I said earlier, it's in our hands. It's up to us to just win a game. And then if we win, we're fine.
Well, if Forest do lose that game, we are guaranteed to finish no less than 6.
So that'll be Europa League, won't it?
Europa League, yes. And then it's just a case of holding on, see what happens in that Arsenal game. And hopefully we don't need to wait for that final game of the season, because I really do not want it to go down to the final day. Nobody does. That's just going to be absolutely batshit crazy in that regard. But, it's Newcastle United and we don't do things easy. We should know that by now. But I'm going to get a prediction off you before we do wrap this up. But I also want to get your top 5 prediction as well. I'll get your top 5 prediction first.
I think Villa might miss. I'm not sure who have they got in the last game. Do you know?
Man United away. I think
Villa will make it. Shit. Hang on, I'll bring the fixture up here. Hang on a second. All right. Liverpool are irrelevant in this. Man City, Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's a tough
game. Fancy Man City, but Bournemouth we've seen this year. They're no pushovers.
They've done the double of our Arsenal this season.
Yeah, so I think Aston Villa will get another 3 points, so that'll put them to 69. Forest and Chelsea in the last game of the season is huge. So yeah, if they can draw, that would be great. That'll if they draw, I think that'll get us in, even if we draw as well, because that'll put us on 60. Assuming say we lose this week, that's on 67, which means Chelsea would be on 67 as well. We'll have superior goal difference to them. So yeah, a draw would be great. Southampton, Arsenal are going to wipe the floor with Southampton in that last game too. So I think probably Villa will miss out.
Right.
Oh, no. I reckon Chelsea will miss out.
So who are you going with the top 5, starting with number 1 obviously being Liverpool?
So Liverpool, Arsenal, us, Villa, City, I think will be the top 5. I think Chelsea will miss out.
So Chelsea and Forest to miss out, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'm going for exactly the same prediction as you.
Yeah,
That's
and
exactly
you
how I
can
played it out in my head.
yeah, you could flirt the order around. Well, I think Arsenal will probably finish second after this weekend. I don't think we're actually going to win. Spoiler alert, but yeah, I think they'll finish second, and I think we'll win our last game, so we'll finish third. I think Villa will win. They'll be fourth. Chelsea will be fifth. No, Man City will be fifth. Sorry.
Well, we'll see how it pans out, to be honest. As you said earlier on, as long as we're in that top five, it doesn't really matter. That's the key thing. But yeah, I'm going to go for Liverpool, Arsenal, us, Man City, then Villa. And then actually, I want to say Chelsea and Forest to miss out because they're going to play that draw at the end.
Yeah, is it at the City?
It is at the City Ground,
Yeah. So, what best case scenario, Forest win and Chelsea get nothing. So that'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I said this on in our group chat that I want Villa and Chelsea to miss out. One of the reasons why I want Villa to miss out, they've got FFP struggles or PSR struggles, whatever it
correct.
is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just going to hedge the gap between us and them that little bit further, so we can march on a little bit. Whereas theirs be stifled, like we have been for the last 3 seasons, albeit we've kept that gap very, very close. That's a reason. And Chelsea just don't really like Chelsea. The owner's a bit of a dick. Just literally trying to get whatever cash he can from selling whatever he can to himself. Forest, I really want to see them get in the Champions League just because it'd be dreams for them,
Yeah, for sure.
Forest are the kind of team everyone's got a little soft spot for, unless they're the direct rivals. But yeah,
which is funny because we didn't. We hated them in the Championship after bloody Henry Lanesbury was carrying on like a dick. Like we hated them. Now we've got a soft spot for them all of a sudden.
Yeah, it would be a dream for them. It'd be a dream for us to get back after missing out on Europe last season. But now I'll get your prediction for this game.
I think a 3-1 loss. I think, look, I know we won 2-0 last week, but we seriously struggled for the whole second half, really, with 10 men. So that was a little bit concerning. The goal was a little bit deflected. We weren't great against Brighton the week before. Either down there, we managed to scrape a draw, but we still weren't great. So, yeah, our form, if you kind of look at our form, it hasn't. We've been winning, but we haven't really been playing well. And we got hammered by Villa, got Ipswich, who were no good. Struggled at Brighton and still won 2-0, but sort of struggled against a 10-man Chelsea for at least half the game. So I don't think we probably are where we need to be in terms of form and things like that. So, yeah, I'm going to tip a 3-1 loss, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
I would love that.
Yes. It's not quite enough to get there, but it's half a step closer, effectively.
Yeah.
And it may mean that we might not even need to win that final game at Everton if we do get that solitary point. We'll see what happens with that one. But let us know in your predictions down below how you think things will go, and let us know your final running for the top 5, who you think will make it and who you think will miss out. But Keegan, thanks very much for joining me today, mate.
Always a pleasure, Craig.
We can get the 3 points, we can get that Champions League place, and we can get more Arteta tears as we overtake them in second place in the league. Thanks everyone for watching. If you don't already, please subscribe, give a like to this video, and let all your friends know about us too. Thanks, mate. I'll see you on the next one.
See you, Craigie.